Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock with you tonight, coming to you from the Kate Saran Tiger Room on the campus of Fort Hays State University. We're talking a little Fort Hays State basketball as head women's coach Tony Hobson and men's coach Mark Johnson will join us, talking about the first week of road games in the MIAA. The Tigers facing more rivals as they were in Topeka Wednesday to play Washburn, and then in Emporia Saturday afternoon against Emporia State. Now facing some non-conference action to close out the first semester before they get back into it hot and heavy in MIAA play the rest of the year after the Christmas break. The program, again, brought to you by Mocha's Coffee Bakery and Bistro at 27th and Indian Trail in Hays, and by Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers on North Vine, the taste that brings you back. We'll take our first break. When we come back, women's coach Tony Hobson will join us right here on Tiger Talk. And some of the action from Saturday in Emporia. The Tiger women a tough 73-70 loss to the Emporia State Hornets. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock, head women's coach Tony Hobson with you. Program brought to you by Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers. You can experience the delicious cook-to-order food, the rich and creamy frozen custard churned fresh throughout the day. All at Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, North Vine in Hays. The taste that brings you back. The Tiger women got off to that 2-0 conference start and then drop a couple of heartbreakers this week. First in Topeka on Wednesday, 62-59, and then Saturday in Emporia, 73-70. I guess when you take a little time to back up and look at it, a young team, and I think you kind of mentioned it after the broadcast on Saturday, 2 3-point losses. It basically came down to the final possession both games, and obviously you would like to have gotten those wins, but with the youth on this team, all in all, not terrible, and certainly something to build off of for the rest of the season.
Well, you know, you can look at it that way, and I think sometimes you need to, but I always hate using youth as an excuse to not be able to finish out games. And I think more than that, probably it's just that this early in the season, you're still kind of learning where you need to go and who needs to have the ball at the end of the games, and what you want to run when you're really under the gun, and you know, and I think we'll learn that as we go along. It's always tough having these nail biters early in the year. They're tough ones to lose, but at the same time, as I look back, there's especially at the Washburn game, there was a couple things I would have liked to done different, just to get the ball in different players' hands, and I think that's what you learn about your team as you go along.
Well, kind of different games. You played so well early against the Ichabods, had the double-figure lead, a big run, and then you knew they're going to answer. They're on their home floor, and they're a good basketball team, much improved this year. And a lot of it was the foul trouble to Reagan Phelan. She really kind of changes their whole complexion of their team. But they come back and just couldn't quite hold off their big run there in that second half.
Well, we did play well for a long time. And she does. Phelan really changes the game. I mean, she's their best player, and she's going to be on the floor most of the time. But at the same time, I mean, we shot 4 for 18 from the three-point line, and 2 of those makes were from our post player. So you take her 2 for 4 out of there, and you know, we're 2 for 14, and that's just not going to get it done on the road. You have to just make a couple more shots than you did, and you know, it was unfortunate because we worked hard to get that lead, and then it disappeared. And you can, you know, this game, momentum will turn on a dime, and especially on the road, when you're in familiar surroundings, it's easy to get a comeback going. And we just, once that momentum turned, we just could not stop it, and came up on the short end a little bit, and that was a disappointing one because I really thought we would probably play well enough to win that game.
Nope, lose it by 3, had to come right back on Saturday, head to Emporia, take on the Hornets, who were decimated early by injuries, but they've kind of regrouped a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, reinvented themselves is the right word, but they're certainly playing much better basketball, and you know it's going to be a tough test. And a highly entertaining game, back and forth, lots of points. Both teams had runs and looked like they had commanding leads that slipped away. And again, it came down to the last possession. You got a decent look at a three to try to force overtime, just didn't drop for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, we played well early again, and kind of had a sloppy second quarter where we gave up a little bit of a lead, but the third quarter really got us. I mean, we got in foul trouble. They scored a lot of points from the line that quarter, and I think ended the quarter on a little foul right at the end, right at the clock. And those things just all add up when you're coming down to one possession games. It's just they just add up and went against us again. The other thing is, in the fourth quarter, we were getting to the line, and we make 8 out of 13, which, you know, isn't horrible, but, you know, you make 10 or 11 of those out of 13, and you probably win the ball game. So we just are not making enough shots and not making enough plays at critical times. And again, that's a learning process you go through, but you hate to do that at the expense of winning games.
Well, what you had to like about it, though, you're down in 11 going to the fourth quarter, and it felt like, I mean, dead in the water, no momentum at all, and you come out with a 15-5 run to get the game tied, and you eventually, on that three-pointer from Casey Kennett, took a brief lead with a little over 3 minutes to go in the game, but you had to like the fight for your team on the road, because it would have been easy to say, hey, it just wasn't our afternoon.
Well, yeah, and that's what happens to a lot of people at that place, because they haven't been beat in a couple years there. But yeah, I did like that. I mean, and I had a much different feeling after that game than I did the Washburn game, because we were on the other end of it, and we, under tough circumstances, completely turned it around and did make a run at them, and that was satisfying. And I mean, Taylor Ross kept us in it. She hit 3 or 4 long ones, and then we kind of got excited, and then Casey finally was able to get one to go, and Emma made a couple good plays, and it's contagious when that happens. And so yeah, I was happy with the way we came back. We just have to find a way to kind of get over that hump. And again, with that, it was every time we had them on the run a little bit and we'd get to the line, 1 out of 2,
yeah.
1 out of 2, about 3 times straight, from good shooters, from good free throw shooters. So we just have to find a way to kind of finish those off.
Now the Tigers go 2-2 last week. They're 0-2, but they're 2-2 in the MIAA. Now a break from conference play. They'll have some non-conference action here to close out 2017 before they gear back up into MIAA play after the first of the year. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, talk about the week ahead for the Tigers. We'll do that right after this here on Tiger Talk.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, real country. 99 KZ Country.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk. More of the action from Saturday as the Tiger women come up short at Emporia State. The program brought to you by Mocha's Coffee Bakery and Bistro at 27th and Indian Trail, and Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, where they have their delicious cook-to-order double steak burger, the crispy shoestring fries seasoned with Freddy's famous seasoning, and of course finish it all off with their signature turtle sundae made with their fresh, creamy frozen custard. Their North Vine at Hayes. It's Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, the taste that brings you back. You mentioned a couple of players. One of them, Emma Stroyan, was kind of out of the lineup, got back into the starting lineup on Saturday, but a good game against Washburn. You mentioned her hitting a couple of threes. She went 12 points, 9 rebounds, and then came back with a big game against Emporia State, 18.6 boards. And she's 3 out of 5 from 3 now in the last 2 games. Mm-hmm. Has that been by design, or just something that's kind of way the flow of the offense has gone?
Well, I mean, she's been shooting more threes this year, and she's a more than adequate three-point shooter. But we're running a different set this year, where after about 3 passes, the post player is our reverse man at the top of the key, and a lot of times they just don't come out to guard that, and she's got the green light from there. And with good reason. I mean, she'll hit 40 or 50% of those, I think, when she's just wide open. So, you know, Emma earned her way back into the starting lineup just by her play on Wednesday, and she played well at Washburn, and is kind of back to the form that I thought she had last year most of the time, and that's good to see because we need that out of our 5 position, and hopefully she can keep that up.
Yeah, T even hit a 3 in that game against Emporia State, and Taylor Rolfe's career high 17 points, hit all 5 of her threes in that second half against Emporia State, had a 10-point game against Washburn. You just see, being a sophomore, another year in, looking more confident, looking for a shot, and her rebounding has improved so much from last year to this season.
Well, she's playing with more confidence, that, you know, just kind of an awareness that, hey, I'm going to be out here. The team needs me. I'm good enough to get this done. And there's just not, you know, you just kind of see it from freshman to sophomore a lot of times. They're not playing with as much fear and hesitation. Like, boy, this is college now. I used to do this a lot, but can I do it on this setting?
Mm-hmm.
And then once they discover that, yeah, it's still basketball, and do it a couple times, then you see a kid just kind of transform and start turning into a real player. And I think that's kind of where she's at. And the rebounding thing, I think she's so much stronger and more physical than she was last year, and not afraid to mix it up. And you know, you forget that Taylor's 5'10" or 5'11" and athletic. You know, so yeah, she should be able to rebound. And she is, so that's just another aspect to her game that's improved.
Nope, finals week this week. I know it's always interesting a week. I mean, you got game on Wednesday, another game in Kansas City on Saturday. Take care of tests, but also try to improve and get better on the basketball court and get ready to play a couple of games. It's always a challenging and interesting week to handle all those things.
Well, it is, and you know, that's just part of being in college and being a student, and you know, we're supposed to prepare them for what's coming afterwards. And you know, sometimes in life you have to handle more than one thing at one time, and you know, they have to juggle a little bit. The good thing about our team is that our kids are so prepared in the classroom on most occasions that this isn't necessarily that stressful a week for them, because they've taken care of a lot of their things up to this point, and their final test, maybe their grade doesn't hinge on that, because they're, as a rule, they're all really good students, and then they've taken care of their business. So I know some of them are stressed out about it, probably unnecessarily so, but that's why they're where they're at with their grades.
All right, Tabor College on Wednesday, and not just a pushover team from the KCAC. They're 8-1, right? 14th in the country, leading the KCAC right now. Have their first loss, a 1-point loss to Bethany on Saturday, but a pretty good opponent from the KCAC you're going to face here on Wednesday night.
Well, and that's one reason why we try to, if we're going to schedule an NAI school. I mean, Tabor's usually the first one I call. They're always prepared, and Sean does a good job with them, and they're just one of the best teams in this region, in this area for NAI schools, and they've been that way every year. They always have pretty good athletes, and they'll give us a little test, and you know, I'd much rather play a team like that than somebody that's, you know, last year we had that, I can't remember what they show up with 5 or 6 kids, and you know, and that doesn't do anybody any good. I mean, it wasn't planned that way, but Tabor will be a good test, and they're a good solid team. They're veteran. I mean, they start all juniors and seniors, and they've been around the block. They've played in the national tournament and a couple years straight. So they'll be a good game for us Wednesday, and hopefully we can play well and get back on the winning track.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate the time. We'll see you Wednesday night.
Okay, thanks, Gerard.
That's head coach Tony Hobson of the Fort Hays State women again. A women's only game, 7 o'clock tip for the Tigers and the Tabor College Blue Jays at Gross Coliseum. Will be on the air at 6:35 with the Auto World pregame show. Tiger Talk brought to you again by Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers and Mocha's Coffee Bakery and Bistro. We'll take another break. Men's coach Mark Johnson will join us next right here on Tiger Talk.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, Tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk. That was some of the action from Saturday. 4-day stay with a nice road win at Emporia State. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. It's brought to you by Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers on North Vine and Hayes, and Mocha's Coffee Bakery and Bistro, 27th and Indian Trail. You can start your day off with a hot cup of coffee and breakfast from Mocha's. Try one of their signature sandwiches, the paninis, the salads, the wraps for lunch. They've got something for every meal, plus great drinks, the cheesecakes, the scones, a whole lot more, all at Mocha's Coffee Bakery and Bistro. Their drive-through at 27th and Indian Trail in Hayes. Joined now by men's coach Mark Johnson. Tigers splitting their two games this week in Topeka on Wednesday, losing to Washburn by a score of 69-58, but then coming back and beating Emporia State by a score of 69-58. And I guess kind of a rough game. We knew Washburn, very, very good team. Brett Ballard, their first-year head coach, has them playing really hard, especially on the defensive end, and it was going to be a challenge, and it certainly was on Wednesday.
It was. I mean, we just offensively just struggled, throughout the game, really. I don't know if we ever really had a very good stretch of offense. And to give them credit, they're a very athletic team. And like you said, they're getting out in the passing lanes. They're pressuring you much better. They really did a good job on Hadley. Every time Hadley had the ball and tried to make a move, they would send multiple guys at him. And he only ended up with 11 points. And you look at the two scores, the scores were the same. The difference was Emporia Hadley was able to get 21. And we need him to step up and kind of have those nights for us to be successful. But Washburn did a great job. And we had some opportunities still late, missed some critical free throws, and just really, if we make our free throws and hit one more shot in that little span that we had, I think maybe we make them a little bit tight on their home floor and give ourselves a chance. But we didn't play very well at all, and you're just not going to win on the road when you shoot 30% and all that. So really, I don't think we had really one guy that shot it well or played well offensively. Thought our effort was pretty good. That's what gave us the chance to hang around. But just didn't play well against a good team on the road.
Yeah, they had down to 7, maybe 5, and 2 or 3 straight possessions. You came up empty and fought some foul trouble early on, and Hadley was one of them. That makes it really tough when he's on the bench and can't be out there for the maximum.
Really, you look at Hadley and Brady. I mean, we have to prevent them from being in foul trouble, because I think our starting 4 or 5 are, they're about as good as anybody in the league. Brady Skeens is a very good offensive player. You could probably say he's the best 5-man in the conference. They really don't have anybody to complement him and go with him. I think we have 2 guys. So foul trouble is really a key for us. I think for us to be successful is when Brady and Hadley get to play long stretches and play a lot of minutes. And then, like the difference between, again, Saturday and Wednesday is we need Hadley and Brady out on the floor, stay out of foul trouble, and then we need one guard to step up and score a little bit and have double figures. You look at Aaron Nicholson was the guy on Emporia to have 10 in the last 10 minutes. We didn't really have anybody do that for us at Washburn.
Well, you came back, as you mentioned, on Saturday at Emporia State and got off to a pretty good start, had a lead, watched them come back with a big run to take the lead, but then you answered it and had to be proud of your team to do that on the road. That's not always easy against, I think, a much improved Emporia State team. Yeah,
I think Emporia is really very similar to Washburn. I think they're playing a lot harder on the defensive end this year, and really they had the same game plan as Washburn did. Tried to pressure us out of everything, tried to run guys at Hadley. I thought we did a much better job of handling the situation, and Hadley had a great night again. And not only did he have the 21 points, but you look at the game, how they got back in the game. The Hassan Thomas kid, number 3, was wearing us out on the offensive glass. And you look after that, we called timeout after they took a lead. After that time, I think Hadley and Marcus Cooper got some too, but Hadley just dominated the defensive glass the rest of the way and did not let him get second chance points. And then Aaron was huge. So he had 10. It was all those 10 were really big. And then, like I said, he kind of made the step back 3 at the end of the clock to put us up 8. That kind of was the dagger for them in the game.
Yeah, he had a little 7-0 run to retake the lead. I think he had 5 of them. His 3-pointer tied it, and then a little floater in transition on a fast break, and then that was a big time 3. And we've seen it. He's a very good shooter, and when he can get on track like that, he can be a big weapon.
Yeah, you look at last year, he had a great game against Washburn. Next game, he breaks his foot, is out for the year. He kind of has the knack to be able to score. Felt like this year he's got off to a really good start, and whether it be foul trouble and some things just kind of slowed him down, I think, for a few games, but hopefully that maybe gets his confidence a little bit, and he can move forward from this and continue to play well.
You're able to play Brady 27 minutes in that game, and then I know he got a couple of fouls, and you sat him in the first half to try to preserve it, but you could see it made a difference in that second half.
No, like I said, no question our defense is better because we're able to go bigger, and then offensively, I'd say Brady and Hadley are two of our, better, if not best, offensive players, and we got to have them out in the game. It's a challenge being a big guy, there's, and it not just happens to ours, it happens to everybody. I mean, it's just kind of, you're at the mercy of what they're going to call at times, and I feel like they're being this past week, I felt like the other teams were allowed to be very physical, especially off the ball with Hadley and them trying to go set ball screens and just get where they want to go. And at times we get a few, just questionable touch fouls and all that. And again, that's happening both ways too. It's not just us. But I mean, like I said, that's just kind of happens when you're a big guy. Some nights you get called, sometimes you don't. But it really makes a big difference for us if they're out on the floor.
Now the Tigers get the split. They're 3-1 in the MIAA, so a good start with a nice quality road win. Now they'll have some non-conference games to close out the semester before the real grind of MIAA play begins after the first of the year. And we'll talk about the week ahead for the Tiger men when we return to the program, which is brought to you by Mocha's Coffee, Bakery, and Bistro and Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers. We'll be back with our final segment right after this.
As you plan for your business in 2018, advertising should be an important part of your growth strategy. Digital marketing puts your business in front of the right customers online. Advertising with the Hays Post ensures your message will be viewed 1.5 million times a month, including 375,000 unique views a week. Are you ready to grow your business? Advertise with us today. It's affordable and it works. Call us today at 785-628-0467. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk. And more of the action from Saturday for Fort Hays State as they get the 11-point win at Emporia State. Tiger Talk brought to you by Mocha's Coffee, Bakery, and Bistro, 27th and Indian Trail, and Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, delicious cooked-to-order steak burgers, Chicago-style hot dogs, piping hot shoestring fries, all family favorites. And, of course, you'll be greeted with great hospitality. It's second to none, whether you're dining in or visiting the convenient drive-thru. Be sure to leave room for their premium vanilla or chocolate frozen custard churned fresh throughout the day at Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, North Vine and Hays, the taste that brings you back. Tigers get a little break. Finals week this week. They won't play again until Saturday afternoon when they take on the Kansas Wesleyan Coyotes out at the KCAC. And I know big time, you have a week of practice, but you also got to juggle in finals. So kind of a delicate time in there to get all of that done, but also hopefully a chance to improve on your team and get better.
Yeah, I mean, this last week right before Christmas break, you always are a little bit worried about where everybody's head's at. We have finals week, which is, puts a lot of stress on your players, and also but also you have a whole week to practice and try to get better. And then you're always worried about how your team is when you play your games, especially that last game. And for whatever reason, I think at times it's better to be on the road. Your team's more focused. Sometimes when we play at home, when we are playing at home, our last game against Newman, you worry about their focus if they are kind of ready to go home, and especially the guys who are from far away that don't get an opportunity to be home and haven't been home since the summer. So hopefully we're mature enough and understand, and we have the focus that you need to be successful this week.
Yeah, Kansas Wesleyan on Saturday, and hopefully you can play well and take care of business. And you get Newman right back on Monday, and that's always a challenging team from the Heartland Conference. They always give you a good look. So it'll be a nice challenge to see where your team is, and if you can make those improvements before the break, as you said.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, again, Kansas Wesleyan is they're 5-2, I think, in their conference. They beat a good Southwestern college team, and one of their losses is at Central Christian by 6 on the road. So, I mean, we need to come out. We play well, everything will take care of itself. But again, if we play poorly, they're the type of team like a Central Christian that can, make it difficult on us. And then I feel like Newman, this is one of the more talented teams they've had in the last couple of years. They've had a guy out when they played some of the other MIAA teams. Kevin Bryan, who's a very good four-man, has been out. He's back. They beat a good Northwest Oklahoma team on Saturday. So these will be challenges for us. Home games. We want to keep it rolling here. Felt like even though we split this past week, we've been on a little bit of a run, playing better basketball and had success. We want to be able to do that to Christmas break and have a really good break if we can find a way to win these 2 games.
As you look at your team, what area or areas do you think you have to get better at before you resume conference play after the first of the year?
Well, we got to get our guards more just confident and comfortable. Like I said, our front line's doing a pretty good job. We have to have some guards step up, and when we've had a guard play well, we've done well. So I think that's a big key, is just finding some confidence. Even our new guys have still, I still feel like they're unsure of themselves and all that. So I think it's more just finding a way to get our backcourt going a little better.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's a good week in the classroom and a good week on the floor come Saturday afternoon. We appreciate the time.
All right, thank you, George.
That's head coach Mark Johnson of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Again, they'll have a men's-only game on Saturday. It's a 4 o'clock tip against Kansas Wesleyan. We'll be on the air at 3:30 with the Auto World pregame show. And then Monday, a week from today, the Tigers take on the Newman University Jets at 7. And because of that, there'll be no Tiger Talk. So this is our final program until the 8th of January when we resume after the first of the year. So make that programming note. We'll have Tiger men's basketball for you on Monday of next week as they host Newman University. The program, again, brought to you by Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers, Mocha's Coffee Bakery and Bistro. And again, if you missed any portion of the program, you can always catch it online, HaysPost.com, or the video replay on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 3 times a day on Eagle Cable Channel 14 and 614. Program also brought to you by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the Taco Shop, G&L Tire and Automotive, Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, Adams, Brown, Barron and Ball, BTI, Horizon Appliance and Electronics, and as we said, Mocha's Coffee Bakery and Bistro, 27th and Indian Trail, and Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers on North Vine, the taste that brings you back. For women's coach Tony Hobson, men's coach Mark Johnson, this is Gerard Wellbrock saying so long, everyone.